Love Affair in Rhyme, 1970 to 1971. Well, David was my lover, and a canny man he was. He lived in California, and he lived to get a buzz. He drove a yellow taxi, played guitar in his spare time, had coal-black hair and coal-black eyes, and loved a glass of wine. We met when we were dancing, and we danced like rattlesnakes. We spent a night most lyrical. Next day, I baked him cake. We met again in London much later in the year, when all the leaves were falling down, and the sky wept cold grey tears. We roamed the frigid continent, from Amsterdam to Spain, and were kicked out with copper's clout from anywhere you'd name. We were booted out of Holland, and vanquished from Spanish Isles. Soon I'll tell you how that happened, just one of many trials. We snorted things in Germany, ate crudités in France, collected folks like bicycle spokes round David's bossman stands. We wended our way southwards in a blue VW bus and took a boat for far Ibiza and its winter cold and dust. We rented a funky finca where an old man had just croaked. The walls were smoked, baths were a joke, a loud ghost spoke by thumping our bed's feet. We ate onions fried and chalky bread and horrid little sweets. All through that time I always felt there was nothing good to eat. The days were strange, the nights constrained by helpless hippies' pride, as each tried to be masterful, and each felt worth had died. We fed each other tablets, and we fed each other wine, and more throughout those months the sun sneered while it shined. Now David loved another lass, a bottle-blackened blonde. They'd smoke and drink together and proceed to carry on. They might invite me in beside them, but I was too confused to play. I only wanted David, not the Fraulein in the way. I suffered like a servant who was chained right to a stove. I didn't know what truth was. This just didn't feel like love. And then one night, the Guardia Civil came stomping to our cave and stole away our documents, with scowls so deep and grave, and bristling moustaches, and suits of olive crisp. They kicked us off the island, without the girl that David kissed. In Switzerland, I mouldered while the guys played their guitars. I wept, wrote misty poetry, and ate big chocolate bars. Now, David didn't love me, for he liked a groovy chick, and not some woeful teenager whose thighs were getting thick. I'd lay my head upon the snow, and contemplate my angst, and badger him with confidences, though it turned him to a crank. I moped, I wrote, I hoped to hide my lousy low, and let me tell you, people, 'twas a hard row that I hoed. One day I left my skinny love on a road in southern France, and hitchhiked off to Paris in my patched bell-bottom pants. A year and a half later, I saw him in a hall in merry San Francisco, while the Pointer Sisters all sequined for a ball, were a jumpin' and a jivin', and my escort, big and tall, was an eminent professor of computer technology, who'd wired up the pyramid on the skyline there, you see. But some men, they just stay with you, and even when David died, I felt I was still linked to him in 1995, though there'd been a gap of many years and different fates between, for you can love somebody though there's nothing to be seen. David was a canny man, a wise man and a fool, a dark man and a light man, and he was for me a school. What not to do, how not to love, how never to behave, how to stay right close to me. I'm both the ocean and the wave. The path of meditation leads through me round and round, and thus he goes on teaching me, though he cannot make a sound. Don't give away your consciousness, abandoning your soul. Keep snugly up to your own heart in the midst of rock and roll.